nobody with him, and he plays it into the zone, batted back to him now for Gelinas, and he rips it off the high glass.
Well, the one thing we know about Gelinas is that he can absolutely hammer the puck. And he did not miss by much. That might have broke the glass.
I think it did. As they work on the glass behind John Gibson, we've got a moment, so let's take a look at tonight's WeatherTech Complete Protection, and as well as we watch the maintenance staff trying to get that stanchion back on. And of course, it's the protective netting above the high glass that appears to be giving some problems here.
Yep, and it's caught up in the netting, which means that they can't slide it down into the glass. Now they've got it free of the netting.
And nothing better than 15 to 17,000 people watching you do your job, and everyone, I'm sure, has an idea about how they can help right now.
This reminds me of some of my buddies back home that used to work for the town when there was a project that they would be working on during the summers, and they didn't quite have 15,000 people watching them work, but
just felt that way.
Seemed like that at times.
There's 9:48 remaining here in the second period. And there's the reason that they're trying to get the stanchion off so that they can replace the glass behind John Gibson.
But you do really have to make sure that the goaltenders are well protected. Boy, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen right now, John.
You know, you talk about the equipment, and there's a few players, a few goaltenders around the league, Brian, who unbeknownst to us until very recently, have started wearing a little bit of cut-down equipment.
I can only guess that they're having to cut down a pane of glass in order to have it fit into that spot.
You see the players milling about. They've been allowed to leave their respective benches in an effort to keep their legs from stiffening up by allow them to skate around as much as possible. Brian, the conversation right now from the officials, with 9:48 to go in the period, this is a tough one. If there was 3.5, 4 minutes to go, they would call it. They'd say we're going to intermission. We'll come back. We'll play 24 minutes. But it's a little too much to ask of the ice surface to take a break now and then come back Zamboni and play nearly 30 minutes of hockey.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, and that's why they will not do it. There's Francois Beauchemin and Ryan Getzlaf
reacquainting themselves,
looking very relaxed. You have to convince yourself that you're going to be sharper than the other players on the ice when they drop the puck.
Well, now Kyle Raymond over and on the phone, could be in contact with the Situation Room in Toronto. We don't know. You see a pane of glass has been brought into the Zamboni corner, as it appears as if they may replace that, but that will still take a moment or two. So while we wait for the pane of glass to be put in place, we'll go outside.
So, Kyle, is there more pieces back there that they can cut? I mean,
yes,
one thing if it was too big, now you can cut it down, but if it's too small, you're not adding to it.
And I think that's the issue, Mike. I'm telling you, they were going through, I'm looking at 15 different pieces of glass and they do not fit, but I think some part of the dysfunction is there's a lot of people sort of just looking to someone for answers. They're going to send the Zamboni back out on the ice, and it looks like the players have just left for the locker room. So at this point, Michael, they may have to delay this until someone with a tape measure shows up.
I think we're going to have intermission now, Peter. So we're going to have the second intermission. Now there's still 9:48 left to go in the second period, but because of what's happening by replacing the glass here in Anaheim not working out, well, it's a first. Earlier we saw a piece of glass getting booed, and now this piece of glass has been cheered because it looks like they have made one fit in Anaheim, and you can see the crew headed off, taking their ladder with them. It was over 43 minutes ago.
The final moments there as they got the glass, and there's the culprit.
It's all his fault.
It's all his fault, for gosh sakes. You have to fire the puck that hard, do you? Come on, son.
You know hockey players, Peter. Were they just teasing him in the locker room?
Well, yeah, they're teasing him, but, you know, that's a little more like, couldn't you hit the net? You know, this wouldn't have happened if you'd hit the net, you know? Believe me, it gets ruthless.
All right, well, the glass has been replaced. There's Josh Gibson, the goaltender for Anaheim, and we are set for a face-off. And those folks who have stayed cheering as we begin playing. The puck is dropped, and here we go with more of our second period of action. 9:48 remaining in the second period when the puck was dropped. And again, after that 9:48 runs off the clock, they'll have a quick little dry scrape of the Zamboni and then change direction, and we'll have the third period of play.